Join me in welcoming Charlie McCarrick. Hey, Charlie, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. How about you?
I'm doing really good, thanks. So, first off, tell us a little bit about you and how you show up in the world. What kind of things you do in this world?
Okay, I'm a founder of a company called Microant, which manufactures, designs, and sells microwave antennas. Microwave being the spectrum of frequency that these antennas operate in. So I'm an antenna designer and an engineer and an entrepreneur by my own design. I started the company about 20 years ago. It began in Massachusetts. I relocated it to Jacksonville. I've been down here about 15 years now. The company has grown. And during that time, in the past couple of years, I wrote a book describing my odyssey and evolution of the company. And I'm hoping that it will reach other entrepreneurs. Be happy to talk to them about that and help them as I prepare for my own exit strategy.
I love that. The book is called Lessons My Brothers Taught Me: How to Transform Your Personal Qualities into a Successful Business. It's a lot of fun besides being a very practical guide. Tell us a little bit about some of the lessons that your brothers taught you.
Okay, I start out with one of the first lessons in which I said that essentially every activity involving my brothers, we were competing as to not lose, as opposed to competing to win, because competing not to lose meant that if you did lose, you get the hell beat out of you, or some terrible punishments would and the only award for winning was not having to go through the punishment. So I may take that lesson and I apply it to business and many business owners, because they tell me all about the things that they want to put in place so they don't fail, rather than putting all their energy in succeeding. And there's a distinct difference. And I hear about this other day. In fact, I had a friend over this weekend who is starting a business. Brilliant guy, has a huge opportunity for building his business. But already I see him going down the path of preparing not to fail, as opposed to preparing to succeed.
That's really good insight. A lot of us do that. We're trying to keep from the pain rather than reaching the goal. So, how do we even know what success looks like, especially if we're trained to just not get beat up, basically?
Only we individually can define what success is, because it's a very personal thing, and it depends on what your objectives are, what you would what you feel is your purpose, and your what is it that you want to achieve. In the early days, success meant that I was simply going to be able to afford to pay the rent and to sustain a living. Then over time, I said, well, maybe I can actually stretch this out where it would provide a retirement for me. But at the end, what I realized was really important was creating a team that was able to sustain the company equally well with or without me. And accomplishing that and seeing all these people in play, and then realizing that I could help others, that I realized what is the thing that was most important to me. There was interactions with people, and less so the so-called material awards or rewards that I could garner for myself.
What you describe is a pretty typical process that a lot of businesses go through, with the experience that only experience gives us. If you could advise the younger version of yourself, would you try to get the younger version of yourself to be more focused on the kind of things you're thinking about now versus that just struggle to make it through today?
I would. I think the key advice that I would give myself is to stop flying by the seat of your pants. You have an objective and you're practicing tactics day in and day out, and you have no strategy. I had no strategy that was connecting to them. And I should have involved others who were actually quite expert at that. And these people are available everywhere. Uh, and I did not tap into it. I believed that the last thing I needed was coaching. I needed to spend my time designing and selling and earning money. I was so focused on the next dollar. I wasn't focused on building structures, processes in place that was going to build a sustaining company. So that was the advice that I would give myself. Although I don't know I would have listened to it. It would only have come from the future me, because if anybody else had told me at the time, I would say, no, 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 I need to be able to pay the rent. I don't want, I wouldn't have appreciated the return on investment. And the reason I think it's so important is I see that mistake being made all the time by people who believe that they are uncoachable. They don't believe in strategy because they don't understand what it is. And they know you need to plan, but they don't have a clue how to do it.
That, especially when we're starting out a business, that pressure of having to have to pay this month's rent, so you get to continue living indoors, which is pretty nice for all of us. um, it's a real pressure, especially when you're starting a business. How do you juggle as a beginning company, that need to cover basic bills and the desire to really have and put in place and take the time for systems?
Well, there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. I mean, you do have to have some capital available to you, either in the form of a credit card, a savings, or a loan, or simply borrowing it from family or friends. And the reason for that is because you have to build up certain material infrastructure. You need equipment. Also, if you're building product, then you're going to have to pay vendors long before you're able to ship and invoice for those things. So first and foremost, yeah, you do have to have something trickling in ways of revenue. I didn't have a lot of money starting up. So what I did was I began consulting. But so many people are consulting now. I don't know how they break through the noise level and get people's attention. But I was doing antenna design and consulting, and essentially giving away, the intellectual property, but billing hourly. But that was able to lay down, enough revenue for me to start building a sustainable business. Now, I'm not saying that this model works for everyone, but I would certainly say the strategy plan does, because in your strategy, you have to know how you're going to bankroll this operation. And if it's with a credit card, fine, let it be with a credit card, but you have to understand when and where the payback is going to be, so you don't end up, in bankruptcy court. So you have to be really mindful of what your resources are, how to use them, how to deploy them efficiently, cost effectively, and moving forward. So I don't want to minimize the need of paying attention to where the next dollar is coming from. But if that's where your entire focus is, then what you've really done is created a job for yourself rather than building a business.
And there are a lot of people that do that. They give up their, 9 to 5 job to be able to work 9 to 9 for little or no money.
That's right. That's right. During COVID, while I was writing the book, it's around 2020. I suspected there was going to be an enormous trend of people working remotely, and then remotely was going to be working independently, and that has happened. If you go to LinkedIn, I don't know about you, but if I don't get at least 10 people asking me to coach, asking me if I need to be coached, I want this for my company, that for the company. I mean, it's the cold calling is out of it's just gotten out of hand. And I think what happened there is that people now working remotely and independently, they've taken their job on the road. That is a really difficult thing to do in this environment, maybe 10 or 15 years ago. But everybody now thinks that they're a coach. Everybody wants to sell or do something. How do we, how do I, or how do they, just get through all of the noise and get anybody's attention? I mean, I see these now, and I know these are individuals, and I know they're pouring their heart out, but why would I ever respond to each and every one of them and give them an answer? It's too much. So I think what's happened is these people that are offering strategy don't really have a strategy in place for themselves. And so, yeah, it's one thing to take your job and bring it in the industry and decide you're going to be a coach, but you need to have a strategy. If you're going to be a business, even if you're a one-person business and you want it to sustain yourself, you have to have a better plan than just cold calling people.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit more about your brothers. Um, I've always wondered, especially as I've looked at the cover, because obviously there wasn't a whole lot of respect there when you were, a little brother. All of us that are little brothers understand that. But where are things now? I mean, do they look at who you are now and respect you, or do you still always just feel like a little brother with them?
Yeah, I would take exception to the part about not being respected. We respected each other, and there was an hierarchy there that you respected. So you respected the hierarchy, right? Knowing that we were in the pecking order had everything to do with your age, your size, and your physical strength. You know, and so as we grow older, and age, physical strength really don't come into play anymore. No, we all, each and every one of us, I think, look at each other with an enormous amount of respect, and I know that all my brothers respect everything that I've accomplished and everything that I'm doing, as I respect all that they have accomplished and all that they're doing. Each one of them, in their own right, has accomplished incredible things.
Oh, that's good. I mean, because a lot of times you hear stories about that, and the brothers are still fighting like they were, 10 or 12.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate story. That's really, yeah. You need to love your family. You need to love your brothers. You need to love everyone.
I So let's take a specific incident where you, as the youngest, were trying to get that thing that we all want, where you get out of your pecking order and get some success early. What were the ways that you accomplished that, but also some ways where they kind of help held you down and made you stay in your place even when you didn't want to?
Okay, well, the thing is to be a learn, is to learn, right, and adapt and gain sensibility. Let's take the my brother Bill and his electric handshake, which is when he would take an extension cord with two bared wires, hold it behind his back, and say, "Come shake my hand." And you shake his hand, and you get the crap shocked out of you, and you fall to for the floor. He, the whole time, I'm sure he was getting shocked as well, was laughing like hell, and you drop down and you say, "Well, I'll never do that again." But oh, Billy was so clever; he'd find other ways for you to touch his hand, either hand him a wrench or some other conductor or whatever, and he'd shock you. And then if you didn't see both hands, right, you say something is up, and then if you look around and say if there could be an extension cord here, now you'd think, "Oh, I'm outdoors," but growing up, we had extension cords and pipes and all over the yard, so it was, it was difficult. So the thing is, you had to become wise. And if you shocked me once, right? Shame on you. Shock me twice, shame on me. So from there on, it was my responsibility to avoid the shock and not give Bill the pleasure of shocking me. So eventually, in time, I learned, the trick too well, and then I avoided Billy outright until he came up with a new trick and lured me in unexpectedly.
I love that. I mean, I think it's one of those kind of things that only those of us that were little brothers really understand, both the love, but also the torment that our older brothers, loved so much putting on us. So, before I let you go, let's talk just a little bit about some things that people could do right now. What is kind of a starting place to begin to discover your own personal qualities and start really inserting them systematically into your business?
Yeah. Well, when character serves you the best, of course, for yourself, is when you make a decision the type of company that you're going to run, the type of service that you're going to offer. I'm not saying the type of service, but so much as the quality of the service, that it is going to be something of value. It's going to be special because you're going to put your heart and soul into it. You're going to meet that person's expectations. And if something goes awry, you shall not quit until they are satisfied. So that kind of personal character, I think, if the one personal character that you need, it's that. It's having that integrity and that wherewithal to execute. From the business side, you know, like Big Brothers, there are companies out there and vendors that are far bigger than you that simply aren't going to respect you. Now, this is a fair and proper use of the word respect. They will shut down and a transaction with you for no rhyme, reason, or warning. they will misrepresent themselves in terms of their ability to pay or to execute or do their part of the deal. Or worst, they will simply steal your technology, manufacture it, patent it, use it for themselves. It happens a lot. And it happens because the small companies like Little Brothers, what are we going to do? There's no parent to yell, scream to. You have to be aware of them. You have to be smart. And so the awareness and the wherewithal to understand the character of the individuals you're dealing with is going to make all the difference in the world to you. So those are the two key things, I think. Having the integrity to do your job the absolute best you can, and having the intelligence to be sensible of the characters that you're dealing with, and that many will take advantage of you if they can.
The book is called Lessons My Brothers Taught Me: How to Transform Your Personal Qualities into a Successful Business. I did just drop the link into the comments in case you didn't see it up in the description. Either way, you can get the book today for free with its brand new, really cool cover. Shout out to, was it your niece that made the new cover for it?
My niece Charlie, her actual name is Charlin, but we call her Charlie. Yes.
Really great cover. I think it really is going to give you some insight into both what the book's going to show you as well as kind of how much fun it is. Charlie, I really appreciate the book, and I appreciate you spending some time with us here on the show today.
Oh, Steve, I really appreciate you helping me to make people aware of the book, and for all your help with the cover and everything else. Kudos to you.